first I'm going to give a quick 1-minute summary of why I think Infinity Wars is such a masterpiece. Then I'm going to go through the whole plot of the movie. Obviously, there'll be spoilers there, and talk about why each piece of the puzzle is so brilliant, fits together so well. Now, first, one quick 1-minute summary. They didn't sacrifice any of the stuff we've grown to love with Marvel. It was just as funny as any other Marvel movie. It wasn't as consistently funny, like joke after joke after joke, like Ragnarok. But when it was funny, the jokes that they did make, it was as funny as Guardians, it was as funny as Ragnarok. So they didn't sacrifice the humor, they didn't sacrifice the characters and these quirky characters we've known to love, but they managed to add an actual great villain, an actual darkness, an actual stakes, and an actual... It seemed like there was, for the first time, some vision by the director, and there was actually maybe some themes they were grappling with, and this was actually a movie and actually a film rather than just one of these assembly line products that get trotted out. And it makes it seem, looking back, like all the work they did, all these consistently good to great movies that they didn't take big risks with these Marvel movies. They just consistently churned them out and consistently built up these characters, built up this universe. And this was just them reaping the benefits of it in a masterpiece. I feel like the 3 criticisms you can make about this movie, they're not really criticism, they're more just personal preferences. That there's different kinds of movies that can be made. You like a certain kind of movie, this movie wasn't that, it was a different kind of movie, so you were disappointed. So the argument that it was overwhelming, there's too much going on. If you haven't watched all the movies that came before, and maybe haven't watched them all recently, haven't thought about them a lot, yeah, it might be overwhelming. But if you went into this with a lot of prep and a lot of knowledge, I don't think you'll be overwhelmed at all. So I think it's fine that, yeah, there's going to be standalone movies, entry-level movies that everyone can enjoy, but I think it's fine to make movies that reward audiences with a lot of investment and a lot of pre-knowledge. So I think that's, again, it's just a preference thing where you might have wished it was entry-level, but it wasn't. There's the argument that, oh, there's too many characters and I really like this character, we didn't get to see enough of this character. But again, that's more just personal preference, that you really wanted to see something and it didn't end up happening. That's not just an objective critique and saying this movie is just objectively, you know, it was flawed, it was slow pacing, or it had a predictable villain. Those are just kind of objectively negative features of a movie. That's very different than saying, or the third criticism, oh, this is too dark. Well, again, you may not like dark movies, you may wanted it to be lighter, but that's more just a personal preference thing. So I don't know what objective critiques there are of this movie, and I haven't heard a lot yet. But anyways, getting into the plot summary, first, I'll break it up into chunks. First chapter, call it the Death of Loki, Hulk loses, Death of the Asgardians, whatever you want to call it. So immediately the ship going from Asgard, we saw at the end of Ragnarok, it's captured by Thanos, and immediately you can tell just by the tone and just the way the movie looks, you know it's going to be a different kind of Marvel movie, you know it's going to be darker. Thanos, immediately you know he's going to be a great villain, just this hulking physical presence. Ebony Maw, out of all the Black Order, I thought he was the best by far. He's very chilling, very menacing. He reminded me of a mix of Voldemort and Wormtail, kind of servile to Thanos, but also very menacing and chilling in his own way. So just fantastic villains. We get a great fight between Hulk and Thanos, and what I loved is every action set piece we got in this movie felt completely different. The style of fighting was completely different, and that was why I never felt like the action was repetitive. I never felt like it was overdone. So Thanos and Hulk is just this hulking brawler, you know, bruising battle of just these two titans, these two giants just going at it, and it was such a unique fight scene. I thought it was great. Hulk loses, and he gets sent by Heimdall, Bifrost Bridge guy, he gets sent to Earth. And then Heimdall dies for his major death. And then Loki, who I have mixed feelings about him dying, because I thought Ragnarok was probably his best movie, where you liked Loki the most. I thought he was great in that, very mischievous, very devilish, so kind of sad to see him go, but Loki dies. And then at this point, Thanos, he gets the Space Stone, so he's able to teleport away. What I loved is, as Thanos got each stone, he was able to use these different powers and control more aspects of reality, and you just felt, it wasn't just that you were counting in your head, oh, he's got 3 stones, oh, he's got 4. No, you actually saw him getting more and more powerful, and your dread and your fear just mounted as you saw him just get more and more powerful. He could take on more and more Avengers at a time. So now he'd already got the Power Stone, which you never really saw what the Power Stone did and what its power was. That was the only one. When you saw him get the time stone, you saw he was actually able to turn back time. When you saw him got the reality stone, he was able to control people's perceptions, at least, of reality, it seemed like. And like I say, with the space stone, he was able to teleport. You never really saw what the power stone was, but he had it initially. Now he gets the space stone from Loki, so now he's got 2 stones, and he teleports away. And he leaves Thor. Presumably, he thinks Thor is going to get destroyed when the ship gets destroyed, but I thought that was a minor kind of plot hole where he wouldn't just kill Thor before he teleported away. That was a little weird, but again, minor quibble. And then the second chunk of the movie, you could call it the American and UK Dick Dream Team meetup, and you have Tony Stark. Now, first of all, he has this conversation with Pepper where he says, look, I had a dream last night that you were pregnant. Is it true? And she's like, oh, no, I'm not pregnant. Now, this is never followed up again as a plot point, but I think it's very important thematically, so I did want to mention it. So you have Tony Stark meets up with Strange, and I love how they're similar in some ways. They're both kind of egomaniacs. They're both wisecracking, kind of sarcastic, but they're so different. And you see how with Strange, there's this magician, old world mysticism. There's this British elegance, and just the language that he uses, him and Tony Stark uses, is so different. So I thought they played so well. So they played off each other so well, and kind of them on their own, they can be a bit abrasive, their personality, but when you brought them together, I just thought it really worked well together. So I'm glad they picked them to spend a lot of the movie together. They have this big citywide fight scene with Ebony Maw and Black Dwarf, and then Spider-Man comes in. Now, this was, I don't know what my favorite fight scene was, because again, they're so different. It's comparing apples and oranges. I loved how this one was the most mental, and it seemed like this cat and mouse, they're trying to outwit each other, because with Strange and Wong, their powers, and then Ebony Maw, he's able to move things with his mind. It was just such a mental battle. And then you also had Black Dwarf and Iron Man just have this great, more slugfest fight, and then Spider-Man comes in. So how it ends is Ebony Maw kidnaps Strange, brings him up to his spaceship, and then Spider-Man and Iron Man, they have to go on a rescue mission. And then Wong, see, this was another minor, seems like a bit of a plot hole where Wong, after he kicks ass and he's awesome in the battle, he's opening up these portals, and he's the one who sends Black Dwarf away and actually slices off his arm with one of these portals. Then Wong is like, yeah, you know, I'm going to go defend the Sanctum. And it's like, really, like, you're not going to, there's this end of the world fight, and you're just going to spend it guarding one spot, and you're not going to go join the fight. So, it's not a plot hole, but it was one of those times where it just seemed like more, the directors, they've kind of had enough of Wong, which I don't know why, because I thought he was awesome. So I kind of wish they kept him in the movie more rather than just kind of hand-waving him away. And then Iron Man and Spider-Man, they managed to rescue Strange from Ebony Maw. They actually kill Ebony Maw. They call it the aliens trick, where they shoot a hole in the spaceship, and then Ebony Maw gets sucked out. And then Spider-Man, he's got this new suit where he looks more like a spider than he's ever looked before. I thought that was pretty cool. Next major storyline, you can call it the death of Nebula. Sorry, the death of Gamora. And this whole arc, and it's kind of the Guardians of the Galaxy arc for the most part. So Thor, his ship was about to be destroyed. He ends up getting rescued. This is the first major coincidence of the movie by Guardians of the Galaxy. So Rocket's there, Peter and Gamora and Drax and Groot. And Mantis, actually. So they're all there. They all rescue Thor. Great clash of movies, civilizations, when you see Peter and Thor interact. Peter starts trying to match Thor's voice, and he starts artificially lowering his voice. It's very funny. Thor calls Rocket a rabbit. A lot of funny lines in the movie. That first time he called him a rabbit, and Hemsworth's delivery of the line was just fantastic, and they end up splitting up. So you have Thor, Rocket, and Groot. They're going to go and try to create Stormbreaker to defeat Thanos, and then Peter, Gamora, and Drax, and Mantis, they're going to go and try to stop Thanos from getting any more stones. So they split up, and Thor's hammer, that'll come in later. We're going to follow them trying to stop Thanos. So they go to the Collector, because he's got the reality stone, and they see something that's fake. So Thanos, at this point, he has the reality stone from the Collector, so he creates this fake hallucination where Gamora actually kills him. And then when Gamora kills him, she's obviously sad. And then at that point, Thanos reveals that this was all fake, and he set up this whole thing just to show that Gamora, who he really does love, he wanted to see that Gamora loves him back to some level and would feel sadness if she killed him. So then he grabs Gamora, he's about to take her away, and Gamora made Peter promise, hey, if Thanos is about to take me away, you have to kill me, so he doesn't find out what I know. Peter actually, he struggles with it, he actually tries to shoot her, but Thanos, now he's so powerful, he makes the gun just shoot out bubbles, and then, but, you know, it's interesting that Peter was actually gonna shoot Gamora, partly maybe to save the galaxy, partly maybe because he promised, and he didn't want to break his promise. So anyways, Thanos takes Gamora away, takes her to Nebula, who he's torturing, and obviously that is what gets Gamora to say, okay, I know where the Soul Stone is, it's on Vormir. They go together. Red Skull is here. He's the, I guess, keeper of the Soul Stone, kind of the guide that explains the rules, and the rules are, if you want the Soul Stone, you have to sacrifice something you really love. And it's just a fantastic scene of the movie. Gamora is like gloating and laughing. She's like, look, you spent your whole life dedicated to this task, and look, the thing that undoes you is the fact that you don't love anything. You care more about power and getting these stones and all these abstract things. You don't really, it prevents you from really loving anything, therefore you're never going to achieve your goal. But then you see Thanos, he does love Gamora, he just cares more about his duty, about the fate of the universe, and that overrides any kind of personal attachments he has to anyone. So he actually kills Gamora, and it's a pretty heartbreaking scene. And I should mention, you get this chilling flashback of the first time Thanos met Gamora when she was just a little girl, and just to see the contrast. First of all, Thanos, the way he's splitting people up and he's just saying pick a side, and you know what's coming, you know he's gonna kill half the people, and he's splitting people up, and something about Gamora just catches his eye, and just his tenderness and his little interactions with her, his huge giant hand and her little hand kind of squeezes one of his fingers. It's just gut-wrenching. And then he's talking to her, kind of giving his philosophy. He shows her this toy that she has to balance, and just as he's killing half the population, potentially all her family and friends, he's just saying, don't look at them, just focus on the toy, just focus on the balance. And again, that's kind of Thanos. It's his philosophy and how he must conduct himself is just focus on the abstract logic and abstract principles of balance and of, you know, utilitarianism. Don't focus on the actual horrific torture and violence that's right before your eyes. No, just focus on, you know, your duty and the moral code. So I just thought it was a really powerful scene. Anyways, now we get a major thread. You could call it the invasion of Wakanda, the defense of Wakanda, the saving of Vision, you know, the attempt to save Vision. It starts with Vision and Scarlet Witch just whispering sweet nothings to each other, and then they get ambushed by some members of the Black Order, except Ebony Maw. So Ebony Maw is gone at this point. So now we're just dealing with the other three members of the Black Order. So they have this big fight, and who saves the day? Captain America with the beard. Now, I've loved Captain America a lot in his own movies, and to an extent Civil War, but First Avenger, Winter Soldier, he was great. The Age of Ultron, the First Avengers, I've never loved Captain America. I know he's supposed to be kind of like lame, you know, in a sense, and that's part of his shtick, but I've never loved him. Here I thought in this movie is fantastic. He was perfect. Right from his first introduction, when we see him stepping in to save the day, is fantastic. And also Black Widow and Falcon. So they have this big battle, they defeat the Black Order, and then they link up with War Machine, and we get this little cameo with General Ross, the Sokovia Accords guy, and then they all decide, and they also link up with Bruce Banner, and they say, look, we're going to try to save Vision, so we're going to go to Wakanda, and hopefully they're really smart there. They're going to figure out how to extract this Mind Stone from Vision without killing him. So they go to Wakanda, they start to try to work on it, and then obviously Wakanda gets invaded. Now, this was just a fantastic, again, action scene, because it wasn't about there weren't all these characters all using their superpowers all together and teamwork and stuff like that. We've already seen that in different movies, and we see that in this movie. Here was just more just this epic spectacle, and you just see countless of these evil creatures invading Wakanda, and you just see all the carnage and all the spectacle. So this battle was more not really about awesome fight choreography, really. It was just like, let's see just what a spectacle of destruction we can put on the screen, and it worked. You really did feel like there were stakes, and no, you kind of don't think Wakanda or anyone's going to die, but we'll get to that later, and you might be surprised. And in this battle, you can't help but notice they don't have a lot of heavy hitters. Now, they don't have Hulk. They have Hulk in a suit, this Hulkbuster suit, but it's not the same. A lot of their powers, they're only able to take out one or two of these creatures at a time, and there's just so many, it's so overwhelming. You really start to feel like they don't have their best guys. Like, this is a bit of a problem. And then probably we get one of the best, I'd say, superhero movie moments. Not one of the best movie moments. It's very distinct. It was superhero moments where Thor, and he's been on this quest. They go to the planet that actually created his original hammer, and then also Thanos' gauntlet. And Peter Dinklage has this little cameo. Apparently they created Thanos' gauntlet because they thought this would prevent him from wiping out their planet. Turns out he wiped out their planet except for this one guy. Anyways, now they create the Stormbreaker, and they're talking about it a lot. They're hyping it up. And you think when you talk about something and you get this image of it in your head, it can't be that cool. You know, whatever you're imagining, it's gonna be cooler than the actual thing. But that wasn't the case at all. We see Thor come to the Battle of Wakanda, and he looks amazing. His Stormbreaker, it looks incredible. There's just this great moment in the theater, and then when he uses it and just kills countless of these creatures, it's just fantastic superhero movie moment, maybe one of the best ever. And we get this brief little interaction and team up between Bucky and Rocket, and you might ask, why do you have so many characters in a movie? Like, if you're not gonna have Bucky in it that much, why not just take him out entirely? It's because of moments like this where you have one character, a somewhat minor character from one franchise, you have another character from another franchise, and you just bring them together, mash them together, and for some reason it just works, and it's just brilliant. Anyways, last storyline, major storyline, you have the battle against Thanos on his home planet of Titan. So this is where it gets a little bit confusing. So Peter and Drax and Mantis at this point, they're trying to find Gamora because they know Thanos took Gamora, so they're trying to hunt down Gamora. They say, look, maybe it's on this ship that Ebony Maw was torturing Doctor Strange on. So they go to the ship. Ebony Maw is gone. Now it's just Spider-Man, Stark, and Strange, the three S's. And so they go to the ship, and they immediately start fighting each other because they assume, oh, you're on Thanos' ship. You must be working with Thanos. So they have this brief little fight. They realize they're all on the same team. And then they must say, well, look, where's Thanos? Maybe let's try his homeworld of Titan. And Thanos just coincidentally, after killing Gamora, maybe he's like, oh, I need some time to reflect on things, so he goes back home. So anyways, I'm not sure why they both coincidentally end up on Titan, but they do. And they have this great battle to try to get Thanos' gauntlet off. And what I love is, again, this is at the same time as the Wakanda battle. And with Wakanda, like I say, it was just spectacle, carnage, just a sense of like overwhelming odds. Here, it reminds you so much of that fight in Civil War, where you have all the different powers all being used together in close proximity. You had different creativity, teamwork with the different powers. So it was just a fantastic battle that was completely different than the Wakanda battle going on. Anyways, they almost get Thanos' gauntlet off. Peter finds out that Gamora's dead. He kind of snaps and screws up the plan, and then Thanos almost kills Iron Man, and Strange has to give up the Time Stone to stop him from killing Iron Man. And Strange, he saw all these different futures. He used the Time Stone, saw all these different possibilities. He only saw one where they defeat Thanos. And he says that the one that he saw, I guess that was the one where he did give up the Time Stone to save Tony Stark. And that's probably because in the next movie, Tony Stark will sacrifice, die, and that's how they'll defeat everyone. So he saw that in the future, he saw Iron Man had to be alive at this point to make the sacrifice. So anyways, now Thanos, he has every stone except Vision's Mind Stone. So he goes to the Battle of Wakanda. He goes, finds Vision, Scarlet Witch, kills Vision to destroy the stone. Thanos uses the Time Stone to go back in time, bring Vision back to life for a few seconds, yank out the stone, kill him again. Gut-wrenching Thor, at this point he has Stormbreaker, he comes in, hits Thanos, seems to hurt him a lot, maybe damage the gauntlet a little bit, but doesn't kill him. And then Thanos, at this point, he kills half in the universe, presumably half the people in the universe all start turning to ash. Thanos leaves, and you get this great scene. Thanos talked about, like, people are asking him, like, what are you going to do after you achieve all your plans? You know, what's next after killing half the universe? And he says, just sit back, watch the sunrise on a balanced and peaceful universe, and just rest. And we see him do that, and it's just chilling. He gets this great dream sequence with a young Gamora, and it's just fantastic way to end. And then I'll talk about the deaths. Out of all the deaths, Spider-Man's death in front of Iron Man on Titan, it's so heartbreaking because Spider-Man, everyone talks about how he's funny and he's quippy, and he is, but lots of Avengers, Tony Stark's really funny, Strange is funny, but with them, they're wisecracks. There's a bit of dickishness, and there's a kind of ego, and there's issues maybe there. With Spider-Man, he's just pure, and he jokes, but he's just so pure-hearted. He wants to be a superhero, not because he has daddy issues, or he wants fame or fortune, and he has to prove anything to anyone. No, he just genuinely wants to help people, and just loves people, and he loves life. So when he dies, not only is it just this pure, innocent person who had so much more to do dying, but his dying words, there's no defiance, there's no, nobleness. He just kind of says, I'm scared to die, I don't want to die. And it's just, you realize he's just a scared kid. And that's why that death, it hits so hard. And again, it just makes Marvel look genius, because this little relationship, this mentor-protege relationship that they were building for a couple movies now with Tony Stark and Spider-Man, it shows it wasn't just, oh, this is going to be, funny, and we'll play it for laughs, and it's not just passing a torch. No, they were building up to this just absolutely gut-wrenching moment that's going to be one of the most heartbreaking deaths in superhero movie history for sure. So who dies at the end? Almost everyone, except the people that made out the first Avengers movie. So the only people still left that aren't from that first Avengers movie are Rocket, Nebula, and a couple of people from Black Panther, the head of that female Wakandan fighting force. She's still there. Other than that, Star-Lord's gone, Spider-Man's gone, a lot of the Black Panther, the King of Wakanda is gone, T'Challa. Who else is gone? Nick Fury dies at the very end, Maria Hill. So even people from the original Falcon is gone, Bucky's gone. So there's Captain America, there's Hulk, there's Black Widow, and there's Thor, there is Iron Man, and you have basically the original Avengers there, and then Hawkeye wasn't in the movie, so presumably, but we don't know. He could have turned to ash as well, but presumably Hawkeye will be back. So that's basically, you have the Avengers there, and then War Machine is still alive as well. But Scarlet Witch is gone, Strange is gone. Wong, we don't know. Presumably Wong is still there. But all the Guardians, I think I mentioned Drax, Groot, Nebula's still alive, but everyone else, Gamora died earlier, and then Star-Lord, and then Raccoon's alive. So there's a couple Guardians left, but most of the Guardians are gone as well. Not to mention all the Asgardians that I talked about, they died initially, we didn't even see it. They died before the movie even begun. So talk about wiping out franchise. You wipe out all these Asgardians, you wipe out the Spider-Man, wipe out Strange. So that's 3 franchises now. Wipe out the King of Black Panther. Wipe out all these Guardians of the Galaxy. So it's wiping out. And again, totally everyone, you think everyone that turned to ash, probably going to come back. But Gamora, that's the big wild card. Loki, I think, definitely gone. So you have different deaths. You have the deaths that are definitely gone. I'd say Loki's in that for sure. You have the deaths that, and Heimdall. I think they're done with, and I think clearly they're done with Thor. They may do maybe one other movie, but as far as a franchise, Thor movies are done. That's what we can take away. Now you have the deaths that it's unclear. And Gamora is definitely one where I think Gamora may come back, but she's going to come back in a different way than everyone else will come back. That may take a while, a few movies, and it may be a final culmination of a big journey to bring her back. And then you have the deaths that I think are going to be immediately reversed in Avengers 4. But yeah, I'll end it there. Awesome movie. My complaints, there was at one point, there was a line that I didn't think made sense. Spider-Man is like, he's talking to Tony Stark, and he says, you can't be friendly neighborhood Spider-Man without any neighborhood. And then he waits for a few moments, and he says, well, actually, that didn't make any sense. And I'm like, well, it did make sense. Like, characters say insane, silly things. Why? This is the one thing that made perfect sense. Why would you, at that point, get all sheepish and be like, oh, that didn't make sense? But such a minor quibble. There was one joke where Drax he says he's mastered the art of being so still and slow that he's completely invisible to the eye, and he starts like slowly moving, and Peter and Gamora are like, we can clearly see you, and he's like, no, you can't, I'm invisible. And then Mantis, who was just insane this movie, she was like the insane character, she kind of walks in and she's like, oh, hey Drax, and kind of showing that she can see him, and that whole like line, it just felt a bit like not organic to all the other times there were jokes. It felt so organic to the story. It didn't seem to break the momentum of the story at all. Here it felt a bit like just out of nowhere and insane. But then again, if I watch the movie again, I'd want to see that scene again. So I can't even fault it too much. So I'm trying to come up with any criticisms I can't. Fantastic movie. And by the same standards that if your best superhero movies ever list includes Black Panther or the first Avengers or Wonder Woman, by those standards that people are using to judge superhero movies, this is the best ever. If your top superhero movie list includes Watchmen, Man of Steel, maybe Batman versus Superman, those kind of movies, or Dark Knight Rises. Well, Dark Knight Rises is going to be on anyway, but if your top superhero movie list includes movies like maybe the original Spider-Man, Dark Knight Rises, Watchmen, those kind of movies, I don't think this is the best ever, but this is probably in the top 5. So by any standards, honestly, this has to go in top 10 easily, top 5, or like I say, by the standards that most people use to judge superhero movies, this is the best superhero movie ever. And what I'm saying is, if your list is mostly best movies that happen to be superhero movies, then you're probably going to you can put Watchmen, Man of Steel, Dark Knight Rises, you can even put the original Spider-Man, you can put Logan. I don't think Logan's better than this, but you could put a lot of those movies above this one. But if your list is best superhero movies, the movies that do these superhero elements that we love the best, not movies that are just cinematic masterpieces that happen to be superhero movies. No, if you look at the superhero genre and what movies do the things that people love about superhero movies the best, the only thing I could say is comparable to this is whatever your favorite X-Men movie was. So I like Last Stand. No one else likes Last Stand. It's going to be X1 or X2. That whatever you like better, I'd say that you could say is on par with this as far as being the best superhero movie of all time. But what else is better than Avengers, the original? Come on. So I'm here 2 hours before Infinity War. That is how big a diehard Marvel fan I am. And if that's not enough, watch me chug the rest of this milk, because that's how you show your hype for Infinity Wars. For alternative explanation, the bus from my very, very, very small town only goes once. So I'm kind of stuck here early. I've actually been here since 2 p.m. and the movie starts at 7. So I've been here 5 hours early for Infinity Wars. That is how big a diehard Marvel fan I am. And I was so late for the bus, in such a rush to catch that bus, that I haven't eaten all day. So that's why, and also poor. So I thought the most cost-effective thing was this $2 thing of milk, and that is why I just chugged milk, because I'm very hungry. Now, as of right now, there's one other person in line. I was gonna claim my spot in second, but he scares me. He looks like he's ready to go to war. But honestly, I'm ready for war too. I got my supplies, get a nice little caffeine buzz going. You don't want pop, you're gonna be missing the movie. And you know, you think you might drink one, and then you drink the other. No. You go back and forth, little sips, back and forth, back and forth. So as I mentioned, it's been about 4 hours in this parking lot under the baking sun. My friend just messaged me. She's gonna come soon, walk me back from this brink of sanity that I've been teetering on. I gotta do pre-movie predictions. It's gonna be dark. It's gonna be Snyder dark. We're gonna get some Snyder grit finally in the Marvel universe. I'm excited. You know, I think this is gonna be a masterpiece. I'm calling. That's gonna be my video. I'm gonna title my video that I'm gonna do. I'm gonna title my review Marvel's first. I'll piss people off. Marvel's first masterpiece. Marvel's first dark masterpiece. No, Marvel's first masterpiece. But I gotta work dark in there. I'll work on it, but it's gonna have those are the buzzwords that I'm gonna stick with. And you know what they're gonna do? This is gonna be the dark one, where a lot of people die. Some people are gonna die for real, but other people they're gonna die until we can find a way to bring them back. And then Avengers 4, it's gonna be the light one, the happy ending one. I'm gonna skip that one. I'm just gonna end it. I'm just gonna end the MCU. Ends with Thanos here. Why Infinity War is a dark masterpiece, aka the Thanos story. I'm starting to run low on battery. I kind of want to run in there and interview some people, but problem is they're not going to want to give up their spot in line, so I'm not going to be able to pull them out here. See how far away I am, and I'm very shy. So the only way I'm able to talk is if I'm so far away and any car pulls up, like I'm getting a little heat here, I quiet right down. And see, I caught a look there and I didn't like that. So I can't just like interview from the line, and I can't pull them out here. So I guess I'll never know what the other early birds, think. It'll be forever a mystery. And I am seeing it in 3D, which will be cool. I don't think I've ever seen a movie in 3D before, so it's gonna be a new experience. And I do have to stop. What's gonna happen is my friend's gonna be messaging me, and I'm not gonna be getting the text. I'm just gonna be here talking to a dead phone because I've officially lost my mind. So ranting in the parking lot of the theater before Infinity Wars, I probably look like a disgruntled DC fan about to go on a spree. Yes, yes, yes! You know what I mean? It's just
good for socializing.
Totally fake. White male!